Hello, my name is Andrea, and welcome to my channel. I'm the primary caregiver for my mom who's been living with dementia for more than 3 years now. If you're a caregiver in need of self care or know of someone in need of self care, then this is the right channel for you. Come and let's journey together as we learn from each other.
Thanks again for joining me in another episode on my caregiving series. Today, I invited a special friend and sister in Christ, none other than Suzette Palmer. And Suzette, I want to welcome you to my channel, and we are going to have a conversation today. Welcome,
My
Suzette.
pleasure, Andrea. Thank you for having me.
Nice. So when I invited Suzette here, the first thing she tells me is that I don't know what to say about caregiving. So, you know, I have been talking to the Lord and He actually guided me in what to say to her. So we're gonna have a conversation around that, but I'm gonna show Suzette that she has a lot more to say than even what we came here to say. Because I know Suzette is a caregiver for her mom, and she used to be a caregiver for her brother, even though it was long distance. She used to do such a good job, very passionate about what she does, and she was always keeping up with every little detail of her mom's care and her brother's care. Am I right, Suzette? You want
That
to?
is so true.
Yes, if you love to share even just a little about that experience, and then we'll go into what we came here to talk about.
But actually, Andrea, before it became long distance care, I actually was the immediate caregiver for my mom after she suffered a stroke. And it's funny how I remember talking to a cousin when I just came to the US. He went to visit a friend who was in the hospital, and he was not able to communicate as we would, but I would understand him. And my cousin was taken aback. He was like, how is it that you can understand him? And I said, because I communicate with my mom on a daily basis since she got her stroke. So I had to exercise that patience. So that kind of thing comes out of you. It brings out skills you didn't know you even possess, because I seem to be the one who could understand and basically tell others what my mom was saying at the time. Also, my brother, he was living with cerebral palsy. He's now deceased. Um, but he never spoke a word. He has never taken a step, but you could understand him the minute you opened the gate and he heard the sound. He would be so jubilant, and you understand if he's, for example, watching the TV. He loved to watch TV. If he was watching the TV and you would stand in front of the TV, he would signal, and you would know that, oh, you need to get out of his way. So it brings out, when you're caring for persons who have differences, I like to call them differences, it brings out certain characteristics. And sometimes you find you have that strength that you didn't even know you had until you're faced with a situation.
And again, I go back to the point when I called you up and asked you, "Suzette, would you like to share with me?" You said, I don't know anything about caregiving. You are still very integral in your mom's care, even while you're long distance. And you do that with such love, and such passion in caring for mom, just to make sure that everything is right, even though you are long distance. And I really admire that about you. But in lifing, or in life happening around us, there are times us as caregivers also require care for ourselves because we have health challenges. And you were one of those persons who I know who recently gave me a scare when you told me, well, I'll allow you to share what challenges you had recently and, how you have been dealing with it, and just to share with us, some of the tips that, about self-care and all of those. So I'll allow you, Suzette, to take over.
Okay, Andrea. So what we don't realize basically is that as we age, there are certain things that we have to do differently. And one of those things is self-care. We have to pay attention to how we take care of ourselves because we can't pour from an empty cup. We keep going and going and going. We're making sure that everything is okay around us and everybody sees us as this strong person, and we're neglecting self in the process. So when I got a scare, it was December 2024. I had a headache that just would not go away. I'm not one to go to the doctor. I am not one to take medication. I would just say, okay, I'll get some rest, and that should take care of it. As you know, I'm studying, so I would have sleepless nights. I would do schoolwork through the night, and it would be 5 a.m. and I'm like, oh my, it's 5 a.m. I need to get a little pep up sleep, because that's no longer a night's rest, so that I can do my regular work. And so I find that a lack of rest is something that led to my condition. And my condition is I'm living with type 2 diabetes. I should have been more careful because I had gestational diabetes. And for those who are not aware of what that is, so I had diabetes during my second pregnancy, and I have 3 kids, and it's only the second pregnancy that I had gestational diabetes. So during that time, I had to be on insulin, and so I was aware that I should be careful because it is something that because of that, I am prone to diabetes. Also, I think it's genetic, and my dad has diabetes as well. But because of me being the busy person I am, I wasn't really paying attention to that. I used to, when I was living in Jamaica, I used to be very active. So that would have helped to alleviate the onset of that disease.
Yes, it would. Yeah.
But when you come to the US, you are not up and about as well. I'm not living the same lifestyle. I'm not as active. I'm not running to school and being involved in this and that and everything. And the other part of it is I am sitting at a desk. I work remotely. I work from home. So I leave from my bedroom to my work area, and I sit there sometimes even way past my 8 hours. I'll be there to 10, 11 hours. And so this is something that we need to look at, and I hope others will learn from what I'm saying. Looking at me, you wouldn't think that I am diabetic, but diabetes doesn't have a look. And that's what a lot of persons don't fail to understand. It does not have a look. Persons are surprised when I say I have type 2 diabetes.
It's not a respect of age group or culture.
It does not. It does not. It is not a respect of persons or anything. But there are things that I had to change. And I love candies. I love dumpling. I love food. Everybody would say they have a sweet tooth. I usually say I have sweet teeth because every teeth in my mouth is sweet. And so I would eat any chocolate, every cake, the fruit cake, the juices. I love all of those things. The dumpling, the starch, the rice. I had to make a change where all of that is concerned. I went cold turkey because one, when I was put on the dreaded metformin, I decided I am not taking it. I am a researcher. So I went and I did my own research and I decided I am not taking this because of the side effects and the horror stories. But then I realized that after 2 months, so that was, I was diagnosed in December. So a part of December, January, February, I decided I was not taking it because I started exercising. I would walk every day for no less than 15 minutes. When I started out, eventually I got to walking a lot more. I take my 1 hour lunch break and I would walk. I
And
also,
Suzette, let me correct you. I think you said it's 2024, but I think 2023, December.
it is 2023. Yes, it's 2023. And so by the time I got to, so that was about February, I did my follow-ups and it was not looking good. So they insisted that, look, the disease will do more damage to you than the medication. Right now, you're lucky because your organs are still intact. There has been no damage. I had to see the optometrist, that eye specialist,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
you know that the diabetes can cause you to lose your eyesight. And so he said, look, things are good right now. Don't be afraid of the medication. Be afraid of the diabetes. And so I thought about it. I have a friend who I shared it with, and he's also had the same problem. And his daughter is a doctor. And he said he had the same problem. He didn't want to take the medication, but his daughter insisted, look, it's the best thing for you right now, and it's best you start out with it and then see what happens after. But what I have found is that after I started taking the medication, I lost a significant amount of weight. I did not like how I look. Luckily, I'm a confident person, so even though I went from being that bootylicious, firm-looking person because I did sports all my life, and so I had strong-looking legs. I had a strong build, and I'm a country girl, so I was tough. They called me Toughy because I did a lot of walking as a child. And so I didn't like how I look, but I had to put my best face forward. I'm like, this is just a phase. I just have to learn to care for myself like I cared for everybody else. And I know that God will see me through this. And I think that's when my faith started to grow. I started to go into church more often because how did I forget to say one of the critical things that happened, how I learned I had diabetes, was that I fell out of a wheelchair at JF Kennedy Airport.
Wow.
And so when I went to the ER, among other things, I had COVID, I had other things, but I think the diabetes was the real reason why I fell out of the wheelchair, because I was so weak. I couldn't get off the plane by myself, so I got wheelchair assistance, and I literally fell out of the wheelchair. And so I went off track a bit, but I was saying that to say that when I was diagnosed and they put me on the metformin and I didn't plan on taking it, I eventually had to take it, and how it made me look. And I didn't like the way I looked, but I had to just accept that this is what is happening. I am still here. There's still a lot to be grateful for. It's time to take care of yourself. So initially I was put on 1,500 milligrams. And after about 6 months, with my rigid exercise, my complete change in diet, so I started eating everything green. And my plate is very colorful. I had only water to drink. And when I have my little herbal teas, they're unsweetened. So I made that big change, and I did my follow-up, and they did my blood works. They could take me off, not completely, but I went from 1500 to 500. So that was a big change for me. And as I said earlier, my faith grew because I could have I could have passed out from that illness that I didn't know I had, and I was feeding it because it allows you to crave sweets, and I would eat everything sweet. But what I want others to understand is that there are cues that you should follow. When you get signals, your body gives you signals, do not ignore them, because I got a lot of warnings, but I ignored them. I was attributing them to everything else. I was attributing some of the signals I got, like the thirst that just could not be quenched. If I left my home to go to the mall, I would have to use the bathroom before I leave home. I would have to use the bathroom when I get to the mall. And before I leave the mall, if I'm there for 2 hours, I would have to use the bathroom because I had a thirst that couldn't be quenched, and so I'm drinking, and so I'm also passing out that fluid. So that is something that should have alerted me, because I did do my research. I did check to see what causes you to be thirsty. Frequent urination, but I said to myself,
Right.
right. And then I put it down to lack of sleep and everything else, and stress and everything else, even though when I did my own research, I could see that diabetes is something that is number one on the list that can cause those types of different things happening to you. I just want to ensure that those who are caring for others, signs, don't ignore them. And if anything should happen, as long as you are still alive, as they would say, what doesn't cost life costs nothing. I'm still here. I can tell my story. And once you are obedient, then you should be able to tell your story as well.
My God. Amazing, Suzette. And today is actually Suzette's birthday. So I too am very happy that she's able to be here and share her story, because when she first came to me and I heard that, I didn't even know that was happening, and until she called and told me about the high A1C. That was like eye-opening.
The A1C was 8.8.
I mean,
that is extremely high.
To go from like being totally okay to 8.8 in no time at all. And then what is it like now, Suzette, now that you have been working and exercising and change your lifestyle?
So it went down to about 6.6. So that is still, I think that can now be looked at as a
pre-diabetic.
Right, pre-diabetic, right. So but I still have to, I am now on 500 milligrams of the metformin. I don't take it every day, and I am not encouraging others to follow me, but I do listen to my body, because sometimes I find that you take the medication and it feels as if the sugar level goes down too low, and so I can tell because I feel different. And I would watch it. I would make a notation of what happens after I took it, how I felt before, how I felt after, and then I would check the sugar readings. I don't check as frequently. I check in the mornings. I use my own body to tell, and that's not something that anybody should be doing. But I am kind of a stubborn, strong-willed, hard-headed kind of person, and I think I'm tough. So I do things my way because I'm comfortable doing things my way.
Wow.
And everybody's experience will be different, Andrea. Everybody's experience will be different. But whatever works for you, you work with it. But at the same time, follow the doctor's advice. Do not think that you know it all. Follow the doctor's advice, because that is something that the diabetes is something that will take you out without you even knowing. It will just kill your other organs.
Yes, yes. Suzette, I really thank you for coming on to my YouTube channel and sharing with my viewers a bit of your experience as yeah, you say you're not a caregiver, but you are a caregiver for yourself and for your mom and formerly for your brother. Before you go though, I want to ask you, what do you do now to, I mean, I know you have changed your lifestyle, but what else do you do as a relaxation? Um,
So actually, I there's a holistic therapy that I do. Uh, I wouldn't say it's a chiropractor, but I do on a weekly basis. I get my C1 aligned, and so it includes a little stretching. I do some squats. I get a massage, and just some relaxation. I don't even know what that machine is called that I stand on, and it just kind of vibrates and it relaxes you. So I look forward to that on a weekly basis. I do that every Thursday. So I just did that today, even though it was my birthday. My son was like, "Mommy, you really going to that place?" I'm like, "Yes, I'm going," because I look forward to it, because the work, sometimes we work and at the end of the day we feel so stressed, and that just relaxes me, just to lay down and someone is massaging my back, and it feels so good, and I just feel relaxed. Plus the walk, I still do, I don't do the walk outdoor now because it's cold. And I'm not keeping up with the walking as much as I should. I do some stretches and I do some on the spot walking, and I have a little elliptical underneath my desk. So that helps to just keep me moving. Just try to be active as much as can. I'm very involved in my church because spirituality helps. It helps to rid you of thinking about certain things, so things that may make you feel sad. So instead of feeling like worrying about something, you find that what I find is I'll do my lesson study, and I'll just read, I listen to songs. I'm singing now. I'm not a singer. I don't think I'm a singer, but I do sing with the choir.
And that was something interesting
Okay.
because I
And
remember you invited me to your Christmas concert, and I was so happy to just to see you, you know, being on the choir. That was amazing. Yes.
yes, it was actually music day, and yeah, it was a fun day. I hope you enjoyed it.
Yes.
Right. But specifically, I would like persons to pay attention to what they eat, especially my Caribbean friends, those from Jamaica who love food like I do. I still love food. You can fall in love with another type of food in terms of not so much of the starches, the flour and the rice. You can try the brown rice, or you can try quinoa. I do quinoa, and the portions. You can start by cutting your portions. So if you used to take 3 spoons of rice, or three whatever you use, split it in half and do a little less, and eventually phase out the white, right? The processed stuff. Try to do some natural food. Sweet potato is very nice, and everybody should like sweet potato. That can be your go-to starch, right? Because it's rich in fiber. And as I said, as we age, we have to really pay attention to what we eat, um, what we how we do. You have to be active. You have to be active, because if you are not, then you'll find that you may want to be active and not be able to be active because you have not been active, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah. Thank you so much, Suzette. Thank you. And I want to leave a Bible verse with you and everyone, but specifically for you on your birthday. And it's Romans 15, verse 13, which says, "May the God of hope fill you with all joy and peace as you trust in him, so that you may overflow with hope by the power of the Holy Spirit." And again,
Appreciated.
Romans 15 verse 13, New International Version.
Romans 15:13.
Yeah.
Thank you, Andrea. It was a pleasure being here with you, and I hope I can inspire someone to ensure that they check up on themselves, and remember that you cannot pour from an empty cup. So while you're taking care of others, do take care of yourself.
Amen to that. Amen to that. I want to thank you all again, my viewers, for watching, for liking, for subscribing, and for leaving your comments. And I also want to remind you to love upon your loved ones in a way that they can appreciate the love right now while they still can, because we don't know when they won't be able to do that. And thanks again, Suzette, for joining me here on my caregiving channel. Thank you.
The pleasure is mine, Andrea, and I'm happy that I could be able to share, and I really appreciate what you're doing. And I am inviting and encouraging everyone to subscribe, like, share, and subscribe.
Thank you. And join me. Come share your experience too. Everybody keeps saying that they don't have any caregiving experience, but you never know.
Right, Andrea? I never thought until you said self-care. I'm like, oh, yes, I had to really take care of myself, or maybe I would not be here to tell my story today.
Thanks again, Suzette. Goodbye, everyone. Bye.
My pleasure. Bye.